I've made a little mistake yesterday in the video. I asked you to recommend me a musical style I should try out and produce just to get a bit of inspiration for my Not Scared track. But I haven't even uploaded the video, so there are no comments. I will just have to think of a style myself. I have enough time on my way to the studio. And by the way, Vanessa bought new candles. I don't know what for, but whatever makes her happy makes me. You can probably already tell just by the intro that I've decided to do a tropical house track. It's so grey outside, I need something playful, cheerful, that is just happy. I would try to make something in the style of Kygo and all of these other tropical house producers. Not to copy them, not to release it. It's just a fun exercise for me. Before I started concentrating onto my own music, I've been a ghost producer for quite some time. This helped me to learn a lot of techniques, stay versatile as a producer. I made everything from techno to pop music, some stuff for advertisement, and even one really annoying ringtone, so embarrassing I don't even want to talk about. First of all, it's important to know what actually makes tropical house tropical house. You will definitely need a cheerful, playful melody that goes on top and is using sounds from the Korg M1. Also deep piano chords, drums that are simple 4 to the floor, everything a bit filtered, and BPM wise maybe 105 to 117, 118. I've already opened a new project with my standard settings whenever I start a new track. And I will change the BPM from 120 to 110. Opening my drum sequencer Geist and drawing in the kick. I've opened another instance. I added a clap sample. Simple offbeat hi-hat. And a closed hi-hat on top. I also added an open hi-hat every 4 bars to have a little bit of variation. I've exported all of the MIDI files. I have now here all of the drum elements. So far it's just a very simple 4 to the floor house beat. That's basically already all we need for tropical house. I will still start mixing it a little bit to make it sound nice. I'm removing here a bit out of the bottom end, and I will add maybe 2 dB here at around 200 Hz. Explaining how to EQ a kick or explaining how to EQ in general is almost impossible. It really depends on the other elements that are in the mix. It depends on your preference, it depends on the sample. So you really have just to try it out and see if it's working. I'd recommend to do less on the EQing if you don't know what you're doing. I'd also recommend to do less when you're in a room that is not acoustically treated. It's sometimes better to just search for a sample that fits better than trying to make it fit. On the clap for now, also only a low cut. Reverb is probably the most important thing on the clap and the snare. I already searched for the sample with reverb on top of it. This makes it easier to find something that really fits to the track. I can play it to you now with the reverb and without it. So with the reverb and without. It's such a big difference. Also keep in mind to EQ your reverb. Usually it makes sense to remove a bit of the bottom end as well. Sometimes you need to remove some of the high frequencies of the reverb. It also depends on the style you're going for. This is a tropical house track, so most of the elements are a bit deeper, more in the direction of deep house. So I will cut away a little bit of the high frequencies on the reverb and the snare. All of the heads also get a little bit of reverb, a way smaller reverb just to give them a bit of ambience. And I'm removing as well the low end just to make sure there's nothing left. Now that I got the drums, at least an outline of the drums, it doesn't really make sense at this point to keep on working on the drums. I don't really know where this track is going and what other elements are coming to this track. So it makes more sense to play in the first melodic elements and to come up with a song. Most of the time I start with the chords. It's the foundation of every track, and when you have good chords, it's way easier to build the rest around it. These are the chords. I usually select all of them, press the Q button to quantize them, and then I have a special shortcut to force a legato on all of them. The computer made here a little mistake. These notes have to begin 1/8 later. So again, selecting all, forcing the legato. It's a very simple chord structure, but I think it will work with this track. Now I already have the root bass note of every chord, so I will just copy the MIDI file, delete the top notes, and I'm left with the bass root notes and have actually already my bass line. The red part is the bass line. I will now open up Diva and try to find a preset that comes close to the bass that I have in mind. Okay, found the bass line sound. Super simple, just a sub bass. Now adding the kick to the bass and adding a bit of sidechain, usually between 5 and -10 dB of RMS, really depending on the bass. Also cutting away the very low end of the bass, just to separate the kick and the bass a little bit so that they don't share the same frequencies. And with the sidechaining you also reduce the bass every time the kick hits. This gives you a bit more room for the kick. I've recorded another piano part. These are basically the same chords, just played a little bit differently. You see these notes here at the end are a little bit more quiet than the rest. That's the main reason why I always record the things with the keyboard instead of just drawing them in. Variations like this make the track feel a little bit more live. I really like that the chords are getting a bit more quiet and the ones after it have a bit more impact because of that. For the piano sound I used the Steinway Piano 2 preset here in the EX24 sampler of Logic. I usually use the one that comes in the contact library of Native Instrument, but this time I felt that this sound fits a little bit better to the mood I'm going for. Other than that, the piano also only has a little bit of EQing, just getting rid of the low end again, reducing a bit here right underneath of 500 Hertz and boosting a bit the top end. Making kind of a small arrangement just with an intro part, a break part without drums, and then the drums again with the bass. So this part right here would be the drop, which is probably super boring at this point. I've just recognized this bass that is working in the intro is not working with the alternative piano part that is going on in the break, so I will need to change here a couple of notes. I've added a little bit more to the arrangement, removed the off hi-hat and only made it play here at this part. I also recolored the basses to make sure I don't mix them up, and I gave the piano for the break a different color. Maybe I should use something that is not so similar. Next part is the most important one. It is playing in the main melody. This is what will give the track the tropical house feel. That's my small little main melody. It's quite catchy. I've used the Korg M1, the Mountaineer preset. It already sounds out of the box like tropical house. To make it a little bit more interesting, I added a bit of stereo delay, of course a low-cut EQ and the Valhalla Vintage reverb. I think that's enough for me working on this tropical house track. It was just for fun, so I won't keep producing it until the end. I usually with my own tracks need at least 1 day just to do the drums, then 1 day for all of the melodic parts, 1 or 2 days for the vocals, and 1 or 2 days just for the final mix down. I won't invest that much time into a track that I will never release. It was fun playing in the tropical house melody. I really like it. It's super catchy. I might use it for another track. Now I will go back to working on my Not Scared track and see if this helped me in any way. Did a lot of things to the Not Scared track. Making tropical house didn't really help. I've now decided to change the beat to the half beat that is already going on in the bridge, and I think this already helps the track a little bit. It's now Friday evening, 10:30. It's really about time to get out of the studio, grab a couple of drinks with friends, enjoy the rest of the evening. Tomorrow is another exciting day here in the studio. Tomorrow I will try another track in a different style, this time one out of the ones that you have suggested.
Drücke einfach auf die Home-Taste, zum Home-Bildschirm zu gelangen.
Zero got activated just by me talking to the camera.